Hello and welcome to Community Service Spotlight. I'm your host, Bud Kwok, and today on the ticket we have Starfish Orphan Ministry. You're going to want to stick around to see what that's all about, so stay tuned. We're here today with Starfish Orphan Ministries Executive Director, Laura Roberts. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about what you do at Starfish. What are your services?
Well, Starfish has three basic areas that we focus on. We promote adoption and foster care. We take people on international mission trips to other countries to work in orphanages or work with children in need. And then locally, we provide clothes, shoes, housewares, furniture, appliances, and toiletries for children and their families, their single-parent families usually. Our goal is to help children that have been orphaned or abandoned by one or both parents.
Yeah, I remember when I was growing up, there were a lot of orphanages around. You don't hear about orphanages anymore very much. And you said international, you take trips?
We do. We take groups of people to other countries. We do about 12 a year. We take McCracken County High School on a trip. We take Tillman High School. We take random groups of people. We take sometimes church groups, but we host trips overseas to work with children that have been orphaned or abandoned.
South America, Japan?
We have not done Japan. We go to El Salvador a lot. We take teams to Brazil. We've had teams go to Uganda, Tanzania, Haiti. We go a lot of places.
You don't get to go with them, do you?
I do sometimes go. Yes, I go on a lot of them.
That would be a lot of fun traveling. That's a lot of places. 12 a year, maybe? That's what, let's see, math major, one a month almost, isn't it?
Just about.
Yeah, yeah. But South America, all those countries, anytime you go anywhere, it's a little bit of danger. But South America, that's a place not really it's a little bit dangerous down there, isn't it, right now? Or El Salvador, maybe not?
Well, Central America does have a bad reputation, you know, for being dangerous, but we deal with people that live there on the ground that are from the United States that have lived there for years and years and know what's safe and what's not. And I mean, my son was at Marshall County High School and, you know, had to run. And we hope that that doesn't happen, and it's never happened with all the people we've taken. But we can't ever guarantee that nothing would happen. But we go way above and beyond in making sure that we're being as safe as we can possibly be.
But most of your business is right locally here in Paducah, McCracken County. Is that where most of your work's done? Or?
Actually, yes. A lot of people tend to tell us that they thought that we only helped overseas, but actually about 60% of what we do is local. We're helping children who have been orphaned or abandoned by one or both parents right here in our own community.
So you probably have some really neat stories. If we have time a little later on the show, we'll maybe visit some of those stories. Let's do your contact information now before I forget it again.
Okay.
How can people get a hold of you, or if they need to see you about something?
Well, they can come by our office, which is at 1000 Broadway in Paducah.
That's a good location.
It is. It's at 10th and Broadway. But then they can also email us, which would be starfishorphanministry@yahoo.com. They can call us, and our number there in the office is 270-933-1250.
1250. That's how I remember it, 1250.
I do
and
too.
If you didn't catch that, we're going to revisit that right before the end of the show, so if you stick around, we can get that back to you again. Now, the question that we just talked about a little bit earlier, and you didn't tell me the answer, how did starfish get its name? Yeah.
Well, there's an old story about a man walking down the beach, and he's walking down the beach after a bad storm the night before, and he sees all these starfish laying on the beach that have been washed up by the storm, and they're laying there just baking in the sun, and he walks along and he sees something in the distance, and when he gets close he realizes it's a child, and the child's throwing something, and he says, "What are you doing?" And the child says, "Well, I'm picking up starfish and throwing them in the ocean so that they don't die."
Yeah.
And the man says, "Well, look how many there are. You can't possibly make a difference." And the boy picks up another one and throws it in the ocean, and he says, "I made a difference for that one." So that's what we're trying to do. We realize that we cannot completely change the lives of 153 million children in the world without a complete family, but we can make a difference for some, and we're very blessed to get to do that on a daily basis.
Well, that's a great story, and that's the same thing about almost anything. My vote doesn't count. Well, really it does. And you help a little cat, and somebody said, "Well, there's millions of cats like that. You can't," but that cat gets saved and maybe has a better life. So that goes along for a lot of things. That's really a neat story. I'm glad I'm going to use that again sometime. And you don't have a national headquarters or anything like that, so you're standalone here in McCracken County?
Yes, we started 12 years ago, and we started out, our first office was on 28th Street, and now we're on Broadway.
Yeah, well, 1000 Broadway, that's a really easy enough to remember.
Easy to find, yes.
And it's a nice building too. What is, I've never been inside. What's inside the building? Is that, are there bedrooms or anything in there, or just offices? Or?
No, we have some people that come in and say, "Where are all the children?" But we don't actually house children there. Again, we promote adoption and foster care. We have one floor where we have furniture and appliances. And we have a lot of furniture and appliances, but we always need more. Then we have offices upstairs, and then we have a huge clothing room. We have a baby room where moms can come and get maternity clothes. They can get diapers. If they run out at the end of the month, they can, now they have to qualify for all this, but they can get baby clothes, car seats, baby beds, just anything, formula, anything you can think of for a baby.
Children. Oh, you said qualify. Is that maybe bring in an old tax return or something? How do they do that?
They need to bring in their ID, their children's birth certificates, and everyone's social in the family, in the household.
Okay. And then you check them out, or is that?
We subscribe to an internet group where other nonprofits are a part of as well.
I'm going to ask you about that. That's really good, yeah.
So, you know, we want to be responsible with the things that have been donated to us, whether it be money or items. You know, hardworking people, if they donate their things, we want to make sure that we're giving it to those that really need it. So we subscribe to a group on the internet called Charity Tracker, and we're able to enter the information, what we give them, and then we can see what other organizations have given them as well. This also gives us an opportunity to network with other organizations. There's like a news feed on it where you can post things so that other organizations see it. So like if we have an abundance of something, right now we have an abundance of linens. So I go on there and post that we have an abundance of linens, and we share those with other organizations if they need them.
Yeah, and I want to mention the coalition, community coalition meetings that Independence Bank puts on every quarter for all the charitable organizations to get there and share information. But the website, or the whatever that is, website for so you can share information and see if this person has gone to 17 other charitable organizations and got the same thing that he's coming to you to get too. So I understand that. I guess that was rampant at one time. Just a few people try to make it bad for the people that really need it, yeah.
But if we were to give things to people that don't need it, then we wouldn't have it for those that do.
That's right.
So we'd really make a big effort to be responsible with that and do the best we can to weed that out.
Now, do you have an official goal that you're trying to reach
Well, we try to make sure in our community, in our local ministry, we try to make sure that there aren't children without a bed. That's, our main goal locally, I would say. Our goal is always to honor and glorify God because we are a faith-based organization. But we do that through sharing things and sharing the love of Christ. And the beds seem to be the biggest need. We have, like in the month of October, for example, we gave out 50 beds to children. Just to children that were sleeping on the floor, sleeping in bed with mom long after it was appropriate, or sleeping on a couch, sleeping on a piece of foam or something on the floor.
Yeah. Well, the movie Blind Side, did you see that? And maybe not.
Sure.
And the young boy, he said, "I've never had one of those before." And she said, "You never had your own bedroom?" And he said, "No, I've never had a bed." And then, you think, well, that's crazy. Well, it's very common.
I would have never thought there were that many in this area. Now, our area is large. We help people. We don't really have a distance limit. If someone calls from another county or even another local state like Southern Illinois, we help regardless of where they live.
Yeah, okay, that's really nice. If you do nationwide, you could at least do Illinois and Missouri and those, and it sounds like you do. I do a lot of these shows, and there's a lot of these charitable organizations that do such great work, and many of them are faith-based. I don't know why that always is, but there are a lot of them like that. I guess that goes hand in hand, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Taking care of people.
Probably should.
Yeah. How can, if I needed services, you said they have to qualify. So I just come down and fill out paperwork, or you?
We're open from 10 to 2 Monday through Thursday for assistance. So they just come with their information and fill out a very short application, and then we enter their information in our system and kind of go over a little budget with them and find out where they're at and on that, and then we do our best to see how we can help them.
And you call them back and they come back down, and you can tell them what kind of services they're qualified for?
Or sometimes we can do it that very day.
Okay.
We deliver beds. We have a box truck, and we deliver beds because most of our clients, most of the people who have trouble providing beds for their kids don't have a vehicle to come pick it up in. So we have a truck, but right now it's broken down and we're in desperate need of getting it fixed. But sometimes we have volunteers that will come and deliver the beds for us, which is always good.
So you hear that out there. She needs help with a truck. Is there any mechanics out there? Dan's a mechanic, I think. No, was Dan no, Dan's not a mechanic. No. He's a director. I try to give him a hard time from time to time. It's real easy.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, okay. So we talked before the show, and it looks like you're in the same boat as a lot of these type organizations. You can't have enough volunteers, right?
We are probably in a bigger boat than a lot of organizations of that type because we are all volunteer. There is no payroll at Starfish Orphan Ministry. We're all volunteer. We have a grant that takes care of our utilities and our basic operating expenses, and then we have no payroll. So that way every penny that comes in goes to help children in need.
Well, what's the easiest way for somebody to donate money then? I just heard the show saying I want to donate $50.
They can do that online through our website, which is www.starfishorphanministry.org.
That's the easiest way, yeah.
Or they can call and stop by. We would love for people to stop by and take a tour of our facility and better understand what we do, and then decide.
Yeah. And say I want to volunteer, I just drop in down there, or can I go to the website or anything to sign up, or?
You would just stop by and fill out a volunteer application, and then we can set up when you can volunteer. And people can just drop in and volunteer for an hour or two here and there. We have some people that volunteer. It's really nice to have volunteers that commit to 4 hours a week, because they can be there between 10 and 2 a certain day of the week, and that helps us be able to know that we can meet the needs of our clients while they're there.
Yeah, 4 hours. A lot of people could donate 4 hours. And you said you're all volunteer, so there are some people probably that spend a lot of time down there, all week maybe. Some people
We do have a few
that
that volunteer a lot. And then sometimes we have volunteers that are receiving KTAP. It's like government assistance for single parents, and then they
need to qualify
they
for
have
that.
They have to do community service in order to receive their benefits, and that's hugely helpful to us. We have men from the halfway house that get no benefit from coming. They don't have to, but they choose to because they'd rather be there. And
the halfway house is not the greatest place to be at.
It's not, but I think they get a bad rap, and a lot of people don't understand that they do a lot of good things too.
Yeah. I've been with organizations before, especially garden clubs, who have gone to and get Class D felons or the halfway house, and many of those guys have really good skills at carpentry or masonry or a lot of those things that really come in handy, not just grunt work. They have some skills. I've used a couple that they built stuff for me, and it's free, free labor. Yeah,
and they're so good to help us, and we appreciate it so much.
And you just can't go down there and pick them up. You have to qualify. You have to take I think there's a video you have to watch, and you have to take a test, and those type of things to make sure that you're capable of handling that situation. But in my garden clubs, I have a 90-year-old lady, and she's qualified, and she takes those guys down to the garden and does a lot of weeding and stuff. 90 years old, she qualifies. So she's a special lady, though. She's not just your normal elderly woman, though.
Well, we have, part of what we do is to give people easy opportunities in which to help. When people hear that there's over 153 million children in the world without a complete family, they usually go, "Oh, that's sad." And then the next response is usually, "Oh, that's too big a problem for me to make a difference."
Yeah.
So we try to give people small ways in which to help so that it's easy. Again, people can stop by the office and help. They can donate services. They can donate furniture. We are always in need of like pots and pans and dishes and silverware, baby items, children's clothes between 2T and 16. There are things that we're always in need of, so they can donate those things. But we want to enable people to make a difference. We had a group come from an elementary school, and they had, I believe they were second graders. And there was a little girl that sat there and listened to me talk to them, and then they did a little project. And she went home and told her grandmother, who was her caretaker, and she said, "I've got to do something."
Yeah.
So she had her grandmother take her to 2 restaurants in town and get food donated, and she had a luncheon at her church and raised $2,222. Then we had a lady in her 90s that had sewn thousands of pillowcase dresses. Little, where you take a pillowcase and you cut it out and you make a dress out of it for a little girl. And we took those all over the world and gave to children who didn't have a dress, who had never had a new dress. So there's something that everyone can do. It's not that you have to be a certain age or that you have to have certain qualifications. There's something everyone can do to help to make a difference.
And you know what, it rang a bell with me. So many hundreds and even thousands of people do yard sales or garage sales. And at the end of the garage sale, yard sale, you're getting ready to pack it all up, and you get the stuff. There's always stuff left over that either nobody decided they wanted or just you had too much. And they almost always, they'll think, well, instead of throwing it away, let's take it to a certain place and give it away to somebody. And it sounds like you would be an excellent place to take a lot of that stuff. Well,
Yes.
you really covered the whole gauntlet of different things that could be used.
We have, we work closely with like the Merriman House and different organizations, the school resource centers. They send people to us. Sometimes when they go through their programs, when they get to the end of it, they have an apartment and they have nothing in it. So they can bring them to us and we can provide all the things that they need for a home, like, you know, from beds to appliances all the way down to pictures to hang on the walls.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that we get to work with other organizations and that we can help complete the picture for a family that's been through a really rough time.
Well, what that community coalition deal is about, so that people realize that you might be somebody that can help me or I can help you. Yeah,
that happens a lot there.
Communications is the key. Now, did you have a waiting list for people that come in? You say, well, we've got 7 people ahead of you, and we don't have anything for you right now. And do you have a waiting list like that type of thing? Some
It depends on different. It depends on what they're needing. Like if someone came in today and said they needed a couch, we could provide them with a couch if they qualified. But like silverware, maybe not, because we're always running out of silverware.
So they go on a waiting list for silverware?
Well, no, they just would call us back in a week.
Okay.
And when we get it in, then if they call, they can come get it, and we can provide it that way.
And let's get into how it's financed again. You mentioned grant. You get grants, individual donations, I guess. Do you have a lot of luck with grants? I know on one of the groups I'm on the board, we fight for the grants, but we don't get a whole lot of them. Is it?
We don't really have a grant writer, which would be an awesome thing for someone to volunteer for. I usually wind up doing it, and I wish we had time to apply for more, but we don't do a lot of grant writing because we just don't have the person to do that.
Okay, well after the show, I've got a couple of suggestions that might be helpful. Okay.
Awesome.
We talked about applying for services. We talked about volunteers. Do you have any really neat stories? I thought maybe there might be one or two in the back of your mind that the audience might be interested in. Maybe one of your overseas stories, maybe, or no?
Oh, I'm not saying no. I can always tell you stories.
Well, just give us a short one, yeah.
Well, I think I'd rather do here local. I was talking to a couple of people before the show about that our largest growing statistic right now is helping parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents who are taking in children who they did not expect to be raising. When we first started 12 years ago, we were helping maybe 2 situations a month where we had grandparents that were raising grandchildren because of drugs. And now we have 2 a week at least, probably more than that. Sometimes we have 2 in a day. But that's when we had a situation where a couple that were great-grandparents got a phone call from another state, and they said, oh, you have great-grandchildren that you didn't even know about, and they're getting ready to go into foster care unless you'll take them. And so they agreed to take these 3 small children, and they were living in a dilapidated mobile home.
And they didn't even know about them.
No, didn't even know of their existence. And we were able to provide beds and toys and clothes and all the things that they needed, you know, except for patience and things like that that they were going to need. But we provided all the physical things that they needed. to raise these children, and it's such an honor and privilege to get to participate in that. A lot of people say, oh, that's a good thing you do, but they don't realize that it's a blessing to get to do it. I mean, truly, the people that volunteer, that's why they keep coming back and volunteering, because it's a huge honor, you know, to get to do that, to get to provide a bed to a child that's never had a bed before.
The satisfaction, the instant gratification of doing something like that, because it hits you right away.
Exactly.
And the smaller kids, you know, if you help a 45-year-old man with that's one thing, but to get it for a small child like that, it has to be really something. And you hit on something that with the drug situation the way it is, it's probably that your clientele has picked up more and more and more. 15, 20 years ago, you wouldn't probably have the same amount that you have now, probably. Is that correct? Or
oh, absolutely. But
the
I
drugs
mean,
are so bad.
it's hard to judge because when we first started, we didn't have the amount of things we have now, so it's kind of hard to judge. But yes, we have so many more. You know, it seems like more clients all the time. More people in need all the time.
And it must be, you must have quite a bit, because I just picked up on you said, well, if you come in and get up on a couch, heck, shoot, yeah, we can give you a couch. So I wouldn't have thought that you would have a lot of couches, you know.
A week ago we didn't. It just
Oh,
it changes all the time. Sometimes, like a hotel will completely redo their hotel, and they'll donate the beds, the tables that are in the chairs, you know, we get everything. And so then we have an abundance. And then we had a church that was redoing things, and they had a bunch of couches and gave us couches last week. So it's just constant ebb and flow. There's constant change in what we have available.
I just had the other day, the manager of a hotel out by the interstate said, anybody need any furniture, come and get it, all you want. I thought, oh my gosh, and then people started yelling different charities and stuff like that. I guess they do that from time to time. They just completely remodel and take all the furniture out and either throw it away or give it away or whatever. So
yes, that's our best, you know, if we get a hotel that calls, that's our best source of furniture.
Well, Laura, we're running out of time, so could you give us your contact information one more time?
Sure. It's Starfish Orphan Ministry, and our address is 1000 Broadway,
Easy.
Paducah, 42001. And then our website is www.starfishorphanministry.org, and our email is starfishorphanministry@yahoo.com. And our phone number is 270-1250. 933-1250.
It makes it easier for me to remember, and I can't remember your name once we leave here. That's how bad I am, but I can remember telephone numbers, and that's math, I guess. So I want to thank you for coming in today.
Well, thank you for having me.
All this good stuff with us. Don't forget the yard sale stuff. Bring the yard sale stuff. And this is Community Service Spotlight. I'm your host, Bud Kwok, and we'll see you next time.